These months are just flying by. We are already at the end of May, and this month's data is more indicative of what we anticipated for the market in the beginning of the year. Your May market report is here. Let's jump right into it. Wagwan, my peoples. If you are new to the channel, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back to the Living in Tampa Bay channel. I am your host, Shandon Kiah, and your trusted real estate advisor for the Tampa Bay area. I know YouTube is full of logic-minded people who want to be in the know about whatever niche they're researching, and in this case it's real estate. So at the end of every month, I like to give you guys a market snapshot and tell you exactly what's going on in the Central Florida / Tampa Bay real estate market. And to do so, I cover the 4 major counties of Tampa Bay, which are going to be Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, and Manatee counties. And to get a grasp on exactly what's going on, I cover 3 key metrics of data, which is going to be active inventory, the average days it takes to sell, which is from list to close, and then the average sale price for those counties respectively. And because I'm a residential agent, I will be incorporating all residential properties into this data, including both single and multifamily, as well as condos and townhomes. My data is pulled from my local MLS, so if you see different data from different sources, just know that everyone reports data from different places, so what you see may be different from what you're seeing on other creators or channels. It's always important to do your own research and make the best informed decisions when it comes to buying real estate. And I will remind you guys that I am a licensed agent in the state of Florida, so if you have goals, questions, or dreams of moving here, especially the Tampa Bay area, I would be honored to earn your business and help you make your transition here as smooth as possible. So I'm going to drop my contact information on screen so you guys can get in touch, and do not hesitate to give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email, as I'm always here to be a resource for you. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into the numbers. First up on our list, as usual, is going to be Hillsborough County with an active inventory of 6,359 properties, a decrease from what we saw last month, taking an average of 65 days to sell. There was no change there. And an average sale price of $526,028, an increase from what we saw in, what month are we in? April. Second on our list is Pinellas County with an active inventory of 7,740 properties, taking an average of 76 days to sell, and an average sale price of $571,937. All 3 of these metrics are decreases from what we saw last month, and I'll dig a little bit more into that in a second because you will see there is a trend going on. Third is going to be Pasco County with an active inventory of 4,707 properties, taking an average of 65 days to sell. Both are decreases from what we saw in April. And then an average sale price of $382,115, an increase from what we saw last month. And last but not least, we have Manatee County with an active inventory of 4,683 properties, taking an average of 81 days to sell. Both decreases from what we saw last month, and an average sale price of $573,998, an increase from what we saw back in April. Okay, so earlier in the year, when the turn of the new year came around, everyone was anticipating that inventory would drop, prices would go back up, interest rates would drop, buyer demand would increase. Well, we know over the past few months, the market has been incredibly dynamic. There has been no trends or clear patterns in what prices or interest rates or inventory is doing exactly. However, we see this month that across all 4 counties in Tampa Bay, we have less inventory. And then outside of Pinellas County, we have property values increasing. So in my experience, summer has always been one of the most popular seasons for real estate activity to ramp up. So now that we're moving into June and the start of the summer season, you may see more buyer activity causing that increase in property values. And the drop off in Pinellas County is not so significant to say that they really went against the trend this month, it was only a decrease of just shy of 3%. So not anything major, but Pinellas County, we know, does do a good job of maintaining its value, and we've always been in that 5 to 600,000 average price point across the entire county. And then we have to go to our basic laws of supply and demand. Whenever you see a significant drop in inventory, typically that's when the value goes up. When there's less supply, demand increases. And like I said, combined with the increased buyer activity from it moving into summer and out of spring, that could be a direct result for why property values are increasing. But we will see next month if that continues to be the case. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know that Hillsborough and Pasco County are almost like sister counties. They tend to follow the same trends for the most part. You can see in Hillsborough we have an over a 3% increase in property values. In Pasco is nearly a 3% increase. So both with lessening inventory, both with the same amount of time it takes from list to close at 65 days, these two are following the same trend. And even though Pasco is probably half the size of Hillsborough, they do have a lot of similarities in a sense that across Hillsborough County, you can find a home in a neighborhood in just about any price range, from anywhere from $200,000 all the way up to $1,000,000, and Pasco County is the exact same way. Whereas in West Pasco, as you move closer to the water in areas like North Tarpon Springs, Holiday, Newport Richey, you will find that lesser price point. And as you move into East Pasco County, we're talking Odessa, Wesley Chapel, Zephyr Hills, Dade City. All of these places you can find some very beautiful homes with some acreage and maybe even some new construction where that price point goes up to even $1,000,000 sometimes. And with that, I'll transition quickly into Manatee County's current state. And as I've said before, I noticed that because of so much new construction development down there in areas like Parrish and Palmetto, you have a lot of inventory that sits for a long time because with new builders, they do have quick move-in ready homes, but they also have homes that are built from the ground up. So those buyers who decide I'm going to build from the ground up, those will obviously take a much longer time to sell because it's a brand new home and a lot of times they haven't even broken ground yet. So that could be a reason for why the average days to close is longer in Manatee County. However, because these homes are brand new and they're in a phenomenal location, they do maintain the value. That's why we see just a slight increase in property values there, a little under $600,000. Now, before we move on to predictions and anticipation, I just want to touch on Pinellas County one more time real quick. We see decreases in all three categories: less inventory, less time to sell, but also a decreasing property value. However, nearly 8,000 properties is a lot of inventory. We haven't seen that much inventory in quite some time, and over the past several months, it has increased month over month. I think this might be the first time, maybe last month was the first time that we've seen inventory decrease, especially in Pinellas County. And what that tells me is sellers are either not content with what they're getting, or there's just some properties that aren't selling, the sellers aren't getting what they want, and they've decided to pull them off the market and likely rent them out. And now you would think because there's less inventory, like I said, that demand would increase and property values might shoot up. But because there's so much inventory, there just simply aren't enough buyers to where the demand has increased so greatly that property values are going to increase. Buyers aren't getting into bidding wars anymore. Buyers typically aren't willing to pay full asking price, and that could be a direct result of why property values aren't increasing this month in this county. I will say though that there seems to be a gap in inventory available within the $4 to $500,000 range in Pinellas County, especially in St. Petersburg. When it comes to that price range, I don't really know what it is, but there's not a ton available. Now, if you go sub 400, there's a ton of inventory available. If you go over 500,000, there's a ton of inventory available. And I think because you have so much new construction development, that's 750,000 plus. And then you have some stuff on the lower end that's sub 400,000, sub 350, even going as low as 300,000. Those kind of balance each other out. So when these properties are closing, you kind of meet in the middle at that average of just shy of $600,000. So now the question is, what do I make of this data as a real estate professional in Tampa Bay? Well, I would say as we move into summer, like I said, in my experience, summer has always been one of the busiest seasons across, I want to say all markets, but definitely in Tampa Bay. And I mean, there could be a few reasons for that. Families get some time freed up in the summer, with kids not being in school. A lot of transitions are made, job decisions, relocations, PCS season for active duty military. A lot of things come into play when summer comes around, and I just think it creates for opportunity for people to move around and relocate to the city they're meant to be in. I, however, have a couple listings that are sitting, and it's not that they're not nice or in poor condition. We even had them appraised, and it's listed for less than appraised value. But hopefully, as we move into summer, we get some more activity and some more eyes on the property, some more foot traffic, and hopefully some offers. But it's just more indicative of the fact that even if you price slightly below what the market is, people still need to feel like they're getting a deal. So maybe cutting the value a little more on your list price will be even more advantageous to you when you go to put it on the market. And I'm talking $25,000, $30,000, even maybe up to $50,000 under what the market value says it is. So if you're a seller who is in the same situation, then take note that you're probably going to have to do some price cuts or offer some kind of major incentive that will get buyers in the door and get them interested in your property and want to make offers. As for buyers, the market is still in your favor, perhaps maybe more now than ever. I'm seeing builders offer some ridiculous concessions, almost like they're giving the homes away. I toured an MI Homes community in Sarasota last week, and they were offering up to $100,000 in flex cash for you to use towards, your down payment, or sorry, not your down payment, your closing costs, your design package, or an interest rate buy down. And they're not the only builder offering those kinds of things. I've seen others offer up to $50,000, $60,000, and they split it up in a way that makes it more advantageous for the buyer. Okay, so I think that's really it. I do like to keep these short and sweet for you guys because the market reports can be a little bit boring. Sorry, this one was a little more long-winded. It was just that the data from this month was a little surprising. So I wanted to hit on a few things before I just quickly breezed through the numbers and gave you guys that snapshot. But I will wrap it up here. Before I do so, I want to give you guys a little bit of value. So for my sellers who are struggling to get buyers in the door, come up with the right plan to get offers and get your property sold as quickly as possible, I want to drop you a link to my SOLD Playbook. It is an A to Z guide on things you can do to best prepare your property for the market and make sure you're getting top dollar with the market conditions that we're working with. So the link to that will be in the description of this video. Just copy and paste it into your search bar. It'll take you to the PDF completely free. And then for my buyers, we are nearly halfway through the year, but those goals can still be attained. If you are someone who is renting, you are likely more qualified to buy a home than you think, especially if you are paying the full rent. You can likely get a mortgage pretty close to what you may be paying, especially if you're renting in Pinellas County, because we know rental rates are very high over here. However, even if that's not you, you're not someone who's renting, you want to upsize or downsize or just, get a new home for your family. I'm going to drop my free guide to buying a home in 2026. It is the same thing, but for buyers, A to Z guide on everything you need to do to prepare in terms of saving up for a down payment, building your credit, consolidating your debts, and making sure you are fully ready, financially ready, mentally, and willing to pick up and move into your new home in 2026. I will drop the link to that into the description of this video as well. And if you find it helpful, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's some very helpful resources in there for you, and my contact information in there as well. And I will remind you guys that I am a licensed agent in the state of Florida. So if you have goals, questions, or dreams of moving here, especially the Tampa Bay area, I would be honored to earn your business and help you make your transition here as smooth as possible. So I'm going to drop my contact information on screen so you guys can get in touch, and do not hesitate to give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email, as I'm always here to be a resource for you. And if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please be sure to go down, like, comment, and hit that subscribe button, because it genuinely helps me continue to create more content like this for you guys. Stay tuned. I'll be seeing you guys on the next video. Peace out.